I feel like we could be top 5, top 10 in the league for sure. Like I said, we in that second year of the defense. Everybody's going to be a lot more comfortable. The communication is going to be a lot clearer. We got a lot of playmakers now. We added AJ. We added Jarrell. I mean, it's just going to be fun to see. We had Justin, Kareem, and all those guys, man. It's just going to be fun to get everybody back in the building and just to see how we gel for year 2. Unfortunately, I went down last year with the injury and all that, but I feel like I said, just me, Vaughn, everybody coming back way hungry and ready to prove something is going to be, like I said, chaos.
Welcome back to Broncos Beat. Alexis Perry here, joined by James Palmer, Cecil, Lammey, and Taylor Kilgore. Bradley Chubb is setting the bar for the Broncos defense this season, saying that he expects them to be a top 5 or at least a top 10 defense in the league. I know the pass rush is tied to the secondary, but let's just stick with the edge first. What does a top 5 start look like for this pass rush, and specifically Bradley Chubb this year?
A top 5 start for Bradley Chubb looks kind of like what Shaq Barrett did last year. And I'm not going to put the number at 19.5 sacks, but if you talk 12 sacks is the floor. 15 sacks, maybe 17 sacks. That type of dominance is what could propel this defense from the top 10 to the top 5. And that's what Bradley Chubb is looking for in this bounce back season where he's healthy. He's going to brace up. He's going to wear a brace on that knee. And, mentally, that's the biggest hurdle left remaining for Bradley Chubb that he'll have to work through during this training camp part. But we're talking about double-digit sacks, but not just that. Upper echelon, perhaps even leading the league in sacks. That's the type of number we need to see from Bradley Chubb if they're going to be a top 5 defense.
Cecil, I love that you brought up Shaq Barrett because that's what I think is the interesting part of this defense. They need to stay healthy. There is a massive drop-off in pass rush ability from Von Miller to Bradley Chubb when they're not on the field, and I think that's one of the things you have to keep your eye on. If they are healthy, I think what Cecil said is very realistic, but also you're going to expect a high percentage of snaps from both Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, which also can make an impact about, this, Cecil, on third down, what kind of juice you got if you're playing a very high percentage of snaps. And I think that's going to be one thing we're going to have to watch throughout the season when they pick their spots to give these guys breathers, because that's going to be really, really important in keeping them fresh. Because like I said, there is not a Shaq Barrett sitting behind you like there was in years past to come on the field and hold the fourth down for a couple downs.
I'm just excited to see both of these guys back on the field together because there's a big difference between Bradley Chubb as a rookie coming in, making a lot of noise, but he's still a rookie now. He's been in the league. He's been around. He has extra motivation after being hurt last year. So seeing both those guys and offense is trying to deal with both of them at the same time, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be huge for this defense.
Well, Alexis, I know you said keep it on the edge, but I still can't stop thinking about Jarrell Casey.
I knew it. Knew it was coming.
Middle pressure keeps every quarterback mortal in the National Football League. I don't care what your name is. If you can get interior pressure, that helps out those edge guys. So Jarrell Casey, big trade for the Denver Broncos. Like to see him come through with that big pressure in the middle.
As the Broncos go through their 6-week warm-up for the Kansas City Chiefs Week 7, they're going to face Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, and Cam Newton, just to name a few. So how do they rack up some of these confidence-generating turnovers early when going up against some of the best in the game?
Confusion, really. If we talk about the pass rush, the edge guys, and I'll throw in Jarrell Casey because I can't stop thinking about him, you have to confuse these veterans, which is incredibly difficult to do. But you've got Roethlisberger coming back. He's got a chip on his shoulder with something to prove. You can get after him. You can force him into bad throws. Tom Brady, it'll be a lot more difficult, in my opinion, because he isn't confused very much, if at all, on the football field. And then Cam Newton and the Patriots, that's a new system, new weapons working together, cause confusion, wreak havoc, and that's how you get those turnovers.
Yeah, giving the props to Tom Brady on his birthday, Cecil. I like that. But but you got to think about it. Like you kind of mentioned, Ben Roethlisberger, I'll look a little optimistic, is coming off of missing an entire season. Tom Brady is in a new system and a new team. Cam Newton's with a new system and a new team. You got to capitalize on maybe those one or two miscues of where things are on the same page between receiver and quarterback, because we talk about it with the Broncos and making things harder on this offense as they prepare. All of those guys are going through the same situation. They're going through a shortened off season, a more difficult scenario on how they have to go about this. One thing does jump out at me, Alexis, is this, though. I remember being a beat reporter in Houston. They had the exact same defense 2 years in a row. They led the league in turnovers, and then the next year they were dead last in turnovers. There is something to be said about the way the ball bounces and the luck of the ball. If you can get that early, sometimes that starts to build. If you can't, sometimes that's just one of those seasons. So we'll see how it goes.
And you look at those three quarterbacks that you mentioned, Alexis, yeah, the opportunities are not going to be there much. So when they do make those mistakes, like James just said, you just have to be ready and make those plays because that can do a lot for the momentum.
Who do you guys think the Broncos' biggest playmaker is going to be within their secondary?
Justin Simmons, doesn't he have to be? I mean, he's playing on that franchise tag, looking to get that big money deal, which he could very well get next season, hopefully, from the Broncos. And he's got to be the guy that gets his hands on the ball, just like Eddie Jackson did for Vic Fangio when he was with the Bears.
What's that number, though? I think he had 5 last year. Is it like 7, 8 this year? What are you?
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's a good number. Might be tough to get. I don't want to sound like James Palmer, but that might be a tougher number to get to. I think 5 is that baseline, and then we'll take the gravy from there.